Everything has both light and shadow in it. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. If you take something like love, and you would say, well, that would be a light aspect. But love has a shadow aspect. There's that aspect of obsession. There's that aspect of need. There's that aspect of being with somebody not because you want to, but because you need to. And it can create a very unhealthy thing. If that affection is not returned and it's still pursued, that is an aspect of shadow. Or you can take something like anger, which many would go, oh, well, that's a shadow aspect. Not really, because anger can lead to some very positive things. Anger can lead to us saying, you know what, doggone it, I'm not going to watch this injustice happen anymore. I am angry about it and I'm going to do something about it. Anger can be an amazing motivator. It can also help us clear out emotion that we have, because often on the other side of anger is fear or loss or grief. And I know in my life, there have been times when I wanted to avoid it. I wanted to avoid grief. I wanted to avoid sadness because I didn't think I had time for it. I didn't think that I could face it. I didn't think I was stronger than it. So I had to keep it at arm's distance. But once I got angry enough about, and it could be about anything, I'd get angry and it would build and build and build until I was in tears. Because at the heart of all of that anger was a hurt that was inside of me that could only come out once I was so frustrated and angry that I let it go. And that is definitely a light aspect. So if you consider that everything has light and shadow, that everything is an aspect of light and shadow, then we start thinking about our relationships with other people and with the world around us and with our communities. You can be a part of an amazing community, and yet maybe there's parts of it you're not crazy about. So you just kind of weigh it and say, okay, well, I like this, but I don't like that. So I'm going to find something that feels right for me. And spirituality, really at its best, is an amazing way for people to explore what is right for them. What is their connection to the universe? What is their connection to the spiritual being that they most resonate with, or whatever perception of that spiritual being is being what they most resonate with. It's about authenticity. It's about us being real. It's not about trying to get people to not feel sad when being sad would be a perfectly appropriate response. Grief is our way through pain. And yes, it's painful and people don't really like it much. And if we can hang on, if we can move through it, then we can get to the other side of it. And it allows us to grow from it. It no longer encompasses our life. It becomes a part of us forever. And it becomes a part of us that we can live with, because we can still go out and be able to do other things. And that can be really hard. And I get it. And I understand. And it's not a simple process. And it's not like, okay, I've been through it once, I'm done. Because it just goes into deeper and deeper levels. Sort of like peeling an onion. And Lord knows there's enough tears associated with that. And you can get some very cool stuff on the other side of that, if you allow yourself to. If you recognize that it's just a part of the human existence. It's a part of life. We are happy and then we're unhappy. We are content and then we're completely dissatisfied. But each of those things is a way for us to be able to understand what it means being human on a much deeper level, because that's what we're learning. We're learning all of what it takes to be human. And we make it through this life and we move forward and we find our way. I have my way. And that is even something that I'm still really kind of discovering. There's a new level of that has opened up. And so, and you guys are a part of that. And I'm so grateful for that, to be able to have this opportunity to share with you some of these tools that I've learned along the way, that will allow me to be able to walk in this world in a gentler way, and that I hope will be able to allow you to walk in that gentler way as well. So when we talk about light and shadow, when we talk about spirit, and for me, I say creator, but again, creator, spirit, God, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Shiva, Bob the Cosmic Muffin, it doesn't matter. What matters is that it's sacred to you. And so whenever I say spirit or creator, then you just put in whatever it is that you want to put in, or put in nothing and say, well, I really don't believe in anything. Or that what I believe is not a part of the standard. So maybe you don't know what you believe. Maybe you're meant to create a new belief system. Whatever it is, if it's right for you, it's right. And embrace that, because nobody has the right to tell you what is right for your spirit. And I agree that it's important for each and every person to be free to choose that on their own. So if there's any other things that I say that maybe you're not quite sure what I mean, please post it in the comments, or respond on Twitter and ask me, and I will explain it. So, lost and found. Sometimes people don't even realize they're lost. They're just moving around, and they are so busy moving through the mechanics of their lives that the routine becomes comfort. And as long as they have the routine, they can move forward and they can do what they normally do, and their life seems to go in a nice, orderly little pattern. But sometimes the routine is changed. And when the routine is changed, it is very, very hard to be able to manage it if you don't have a few other tools, if you don't have something besides the routine in order to sustain you. And that can lead to feelings of being lost. If you're the one person in a room that has a particular viewpoint and nobody else seems to share it, that can be a pretty lonely place to be. You feel isolated. And this is a time when a lot of people are feeling isolated. A lot of people are feeling separate. A lot of people are feeling fear. If you are experiencing just an overwhelming sense of fear, and I've been talking to a lot of people lately who just keep telling me, I'm just overwhelmed. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to move around. I feel stuck. Because energy and emotion are very connected. Energy, in my mind, is a form of energy, or emotion is a form of energy. And we've got a lot of very, very intense emotions that are going on. A lot of people in fear, a lot of people who are angry, a lot of people who are frustrated because they don't have an action. This is a circumstance that I don't think many who are alive today remember things being this scattered and this fragmented. And it's scary. Our younger generations are looking to the older generation saying, what's going on? And honestly, we can't give an explanation because we don't have a point of reference on this. And we can still be okay. Could it get really bad? Yes. But what happens on the other side of it being really bad? Because like a pendulum, it always swings back the other way. And it may go between chaos and balance, back to chaos, back to balance again. That's the nature of the world. Everything has cycles. Everything has seasons. It's what we do with it that is important. Feeling fear is a very reasonable thing to feel. And it's not something that is anybody else's fault. The fear is within you. And that's usually the best place to look for finding a solution to it. Because if I feel fear and I spend my time just feeding fear out into everybody else, and oh my gosh, it's going to be terrible, it's going to be this, it's going to be that, that doesn't do anything but build more fear. If somebody comes to me and says, wow, I'm really scared, and I say, oh my God, me too, it's horrible, it's terrible, that person coming to me is going to go, okay, this did not help. I was really looking for help. When people come up to me and say that they're scared, I acknowledge, wow, yeah, I can understand that. It's a scary time. And I honor the fact that they are feeling a perfectly normal, appropriate emotion that, you know, pretty much most reasonable people feel to some degree, because there's uncertainty. And then we figure out, okay, what can you do in order to be able to help not feel so helpless? Well, you can find an organization that supports something that you support, call them up and say, hey, what can I do to help? I know things are about to get weird. You can decide within yourself, I am going to smile at 10 strangers today. You can decide, you know what? I'm going to help support a homeless shelter. I'm going to take a blanket over to the Humane Society so that the animals can have blankets, which is very cool to do. You know, you got old blankets that you don't want to give to anybody, you know, just wash them and take them over to the Humane Society. And what they do is they put them at the bottom of the cages for the animals so they can have that warmth. You know, just thinking of things, how can I make the world better? How can I offset this scale that is tilted in a direction that maybe I'm not so crazy about? I can't control the scale, but I can control what I put into mine. And if I've got a choice of love or despair, I'm going to tilt that sucker over in the way of love. And I'm going to do that by working to help be a part of a solution instead of part of a problem. Most people are very clear on problems. I mean, they may not always agree with each other, but they're very clear on what the problem is, or at least they can always name several. It's the solutions that we find a little bit trickier to nail down. So rather than finding a solution for a national issue, find a solution for, okay, if ultimately my problem is that I feel helpless, how can I feel less helpless? How can I not feel like I'm a ship out in the middle of the ocean all by myself? By realizing you're not by yourself. You're not alone. There are people who love you. There are people who care about you. There are communities who believe what you believe. Go find them. Allow yourself to be with other people, because one of the aspects of grieving is that you have a tendency to want to draw away. You have a tendency to want to hide. You have a tendency to want to not deal with people because it's just too painful. And I get that. Some people have an ability called empathy. And empathy is feeling the emotion of another as if it is your own. I mean, so it goes beyond just going, oh, that person is sad. It goes to, I feel sad. But you may not connect that it's because somebody else feels sad. And that is multiplied about 1,000-fold right now when you have millions of people who don't know what's going to happen. All of that energy goes into, well, into the thought process. There's a term called the collective thought. And that just means that all the things that people are feeling all together. Think of it as like a big cloud. And all of those thoughts and feelings go into that cloud, and that cloud can kind of float up above us. And it's like, okay, well, you know, all those fears and thoughts and happiness and sadness, they're all up there. But sometimes the weather gets a little bit rough. Sometimes that cloud becomes fog, and it comes down, and it's right where we are, and we're surrounded by it. And you notice that just listening to anybody talk about certain subjects is exhausting, and you don't want to be involved with anything. You don't want to be around people because you're picking up that energy and it's affecting you physically. I understand. I have this ability. And a long time ago, I was very fortunate to have somebody who taught me how to manage it. And so on one of the shows, we'll be talking more about that. We'll dedicate a whole show to managing empathy and managing emotions. And empathy is one of the things that can really be affected by the current state of being when a whole bunch of people are in fear. So the question is, how do we manage this? How do we bring ourselves out of that place of lost and not feeling good and feeling isolated or wanting to isolate? Well, I already mentioned the first one, which is connect with somebody. Connect with people who will be supportive, not people who are going to tell you, well, what you need to do is no. I mean, well-meaning, bless them. No. Allow yourself to find people who will be able to go, wow, yeah, that must be really hard to feel. Why don't you tell me about it? And who will let you kind of vent out. Vent out a bit. It really is very healthy. But because once you start talking about it, even if you're talking about it to someone who's not responding, it allows you to think out loud, and it allows you to be able to go into that place of feeling that you're not alone. If somebody's standing there and they go, you know what? I get it. I understand how you're feeling. That is so empowering because it's not just you. You're not weak. You're not, going nuts or whatever. It's something that people understand, and a lot of people understand it. So allow yourself to be comforted, allow yourself to connect with your communities. If you don't have a community, find one. The World Wide Webiverse, the internet, has the collective knowledge of humanity at this point for the most part. So you can look up groups that you can connect with. And if you absolutely can't find any, send me a message. I'll find you somebody in your area. We can see about how to get you connected to somebody. Being able to weather what's coming is not as important as, because what's coming is going to, whatever it is that's going to play out is going to play out. People are going to react and respond. And one of the very positive things about this is that more people are now taking an active part, going, wow, I need to be involved more. I need to figure out what's going on. So a lot of people are going to do that in a lot of different ways. That doesn't mean that we have to be enemies. It doesn't mean that we have to view it as the good guys versus the bad guys. It means that we are all a part of an amazing performance. Think of it that way. Think of it as an event. Everybody has their part to play. You get to choose what part you play. Choose well. Choose what's right for you. Choose your own light. Choose what feels like it brings balance in your spirit and allows the world to be a gentler place. You matter. Your help in this is important. However you do it, even if it's just smiling to 10 strangers in a day, you make a difference. You can make a difference. You don't have to feel helpless. Being lost is an illusion because you're always there. You're always connected to spirit in whatever way you choose. You're always connected to other people. Look up, because you'll probably notice that there's somebody there who's ready to be with you and hold your hand and help you through whatever it is that you need to be helped through. It's okay to be scared. A lot of us are, and it's a very reasonable response. What do you want to do with it? Because that is the biggest part of shifting. What do you want? What would you like to happen? And then how can you be a part of manifesting that, even in the smallest way? Because even the smallest change makes a difference. It's all about choice. You can choose to be afraid, and I will defend your right to live in fear, because that is your choice. And you can decide that that doesn't feel right to you. And you can be able to move forward. You can be able to embrace what is good in the world, because I will doggone guarantee you that there is more good in the world than there is pain. There is more people who are willing to help. There are more people who love one another and who take care of each other and take care of others than there will ever be people who go the other way. We are the majority. We are those who love. We are those who accept. We are those who choose to be the change we want to see in the world. That change can't happen without each and every one of us. And that change can't happen from a place of fear. Fear is really good. It allows us to recognize that something's not right, but then we take the step out of it. You're not lost. You're not alone. You are tremendously special. Each and every one of you is a divine being having a human experience. And that experience is what you choose it to be. Your life is your own. There's a lot of things that we can't control, but one of the things we can and should is how we want to view the world. And sometimes that's hard. But I tell you what, it's worth the effort. And you don't get it right every time. We all have down days, and then we all have up days. And then we all have points when maybe we don't know if we matter. And maybe we have days where we don't even care whether or not we matter. Those are just moments that you move through. And then you take a deep breath and you go, well, what do I want? Where do I want to be? How can I help? And you go with that. Find a way, because there is a way. There's always a way. You can't control the others, but you can control what you choose to do with what comes into your field. You're always found. Someone is always there and will always find you. So, whatever it is you decide to do, go for it if it feels right. Find others who will support what it is that you would like to achieve. Because no sense in reinventing the wheel, because there's a lot of people out there doing a lot of cool things. Join them. Build houses for the homeless, feed the hungry, help a stray kitten find a good home. Doesn't matter how big or how small, because what you contribute matters more than you could possibly know. And don't worry about getting it wrong, because you can't. So, thank you for joining me. And if you enjoyed this, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. I love reading comments. If you have a particular question or a topic you'd like me to cover, then please let me know. You can reach me through my Facebook page at Medicine Walk with Dr. Ayleen, and you can leave comments there. You can also reach me on Twitter. So until next time, and I know that next week will be Thanksgiving. So yes, I will be right here live streaming on Thanksgiving. And hopefully everybody has a wonderful week ahead, and that you be gentle with yourself. I took several days where I didn't watch the news. Believe me, that actually was very helpful, because then I got to think about what I was feeling. And really, when it comes down to it, that's where it all starts. How do you feel? What do you want? And what do you need to do to make that happen? And who can help you? So until next time, my friends, I wish you balance, and I wish you every blessing from my heart to yours. Love you.